Hello, my name is Kit Kingler, Bingler to many, Daniel to a few. So I'm participating in a draft league called NBPA, and I just wanted to show you guys my draft. I hope to continue to make vids throughout the season, throughout my week matchups, and follow the lads. Some background about the league. Obviously, it's called NBPA, which we can see there. You got a total of 115 points to draft your team, and that team has to be 11 mons through a 9-week season. And also, just as a heads up, Hidden Power and Pursuit are banned, but all other banned moves are legal. So I was 4th overall, and leading off the first pick, we've got Garchomp here, as you can see. So I wrote some notes down about this, and I just wanted to lead off with those. So the first thing I wanted to say is he cost me 17 points. And with the 4th overall pick, I really wanted to make a selection where I feel like I wasn't limited in what I was going to be able to build. So I went with Garchomp because I feel like he's a strong lead. He has good bulk. He can be a good setup sweeper. He brings rocks. He's got good typing and dragon ground. Basically, the overall point is he's versatile. I never used him before, but I do think that he can do a lot of things. If not, he can do anything. And I think he's a threat to watch. So we brought him in here. Obviously, also, he's a Sharky boy, so we named him SharkBoy. It's just that simple. So for the next mon that we had, it was going to be Skarmory. Skarmory here will cost me 13 points. I wanted to maintain the kind of bulky status that my team that I like to play with. I think Steel Flying is one of the strongest types in the game. He also brings me rocks and spikes, as well as off. And I really just wanted something to be a wall defensively that I can sit in front of people with, or even use Whirlwind to stop any kind of setup. Name, don't have much for you other than he's a steel type, and I hope he does work, so we went with Steelwork. Is what we did. So 3rd overall came back to me. Originally this pick was supposed to be Primarina, but that got sniped to the pick before, so I had to adjust my draft plan, and I really wanted that water fairy type, so I landed on Tapu Fini. This mon, in my opinion, is just incredibly strong in draft. It brings me a lot of bulk, especially while also having setup potential, and it with a base speed like 85, it can even allow for like that cheeky scarf setup or cheeky scarf set that may win you a game. As you'll see throughout the most of my video, I really like bulky mons that can also be offensive when it comes to it. And in general, I like mons that can do multiple things. I don't like them to be kind of pigeonholed into being 1 or 2 sets throughout the season. And then I went with it being named Animal because this thing's just a freaking animal when it's out there. You always have to watch out for this mon. It can end the game at any point. And so we took that. It also will bring me stuff like Haze, status terrain to lower dragon damage, but also it was Misty, so I can't get statused. Just there's a lot of good things that this mon will do for me, and it cost me 16 points. So my next overall pick I brought in was Mega-Venusaur, continuing that versatile, thick type of feel for my team. We named him Drain Gang because he's about that drain lifestyle. He's got a very good ability in thick fat, kind of being an honorary resist to ice and fire, which he's naturally weak to. So I thought that would be a good thing to bring to the team as well. He's not that fast, but he can get a lot of things done. I am a little sad that I don't probably get to use sleep powder as much as maybe I should, but I'm hoping to be able to play around that, so we'll continue on from there. So my 5th overall, as you can see, still brand new to making videos, so I did not edit out any of the border around Incineroar, and we slapped him in there. This guy's an absolute champ, so we're going to name him Champ for the season. He cost me 10 points, which I thought was pretty okay for it. I mean, it's right around where I would hopefully get it, in my mind at least. The max amount of points was 18, so he's kind of like right in that mid tier, but I feel like he can do a lot of things, and you can see in there I really want him to be my pivot. My main pivot, he can do U-turn or parting shot depending on what the situation calls for. He's also got bulk, so you can set him up physically defensive or specially defensive. He'll eat one or two, he'll get what you want in. And also one of my favorite things about this mon, or in general about the game, is knock. I'm a firm believer that items do a lot to win you a game, so if I can take your item away from you, I will gladly do that. And so then from there on, we went on to the sixth pick. So this one's a new one for me. I've played a lot of seasons through multiple leagues, and I've always dabbled with the idea of taking Arctozolt or running a Hail team, and I've always steered away from it because I just felt like it wasn't right or it was too slow. But since I just won the Johto division of NPBA last season, I felt like this season I just have to try and use something different, or at least that I think is really cool. So I took Arctozolt here. Cost me 9 points. He's obviously a physical threat. I think that's his highest stat, but you can probably throw a mix set on there and he would be fine. He's got a very cool typing, being electric ice. Those types are crazy good offensively. And he's based on like the style that I'm going to use him. He's not really about taking a hit, so I didn't really care about the weaknesses for him. Slush Rush is also a really cool ability. It's going to let him double his speed. Unfortunately, with that base 55, he doesn't get that fast. You really only need to scarf like a base 90 mon to outspeed him in Hail. But I'm hoping that it's not that big of a deal, and we can play around some threats and see if we can't get this guy some kills, because I think he's very cool, and I'd be very excited to see my Hail team perform. So going into the 7th pick, obviously lastly, I'm going to name him FroZone. It was too obvious. Shout out to the GOAT. And we're going to go from there. With Arctozolt going there, I needed Hail to bring in, so I took Alolan-Ninetales for 10 points. Obvious Hail setter, and I really wanted to get this as my setter because the fairy type is absolutely busted, as well as it brings Veil to my team, which I think Veil is incredibly strong, just being able to be like Reflect and Light Screen in one. It also has Heal Bell, so this mon brings some more of that utility type pivot type deal without actually having any kind of pivot move, but just kind of like a support mon more, I guess. But the speed isn't bad either for 109. And Moonblast is always going to hit something, so it was a good pick here for me. And I named him Mystic. Don't really have a reason. Was just the calling. So then 8th overall, you can see I went back into my pivoty type mon ways, or support type mon ways. I took this Hitmontop for 8 points. It brings 2 strong abilities that I really like Technician and Intimidate. For lowering attack on threats or helping get in what I need, force something out. It also will bring me Rapid Spin, which is huge because I don't really want rocks or webs or spikes up versus my team, but I may need my hazards up, and I don't want to defog anything I put up away on my own. So Spin will be super useful, and I'm pretty sure he gets knock. I'd have to double check, but we went pretty basic with his name. It's just Tops. That's all I got for him. So we're just going to keep trucking along. I don't really want the video to be crazy long, so I'm just going to keep going. The next mon I took was 9th overall. We're nearing the end of the draft here, and I had been budgeting my points because I wanted to kind of come in with a good pick late, like a special threat. So in the 9th round here, I got Alakazam. I'm going to name him Houdini because he's a magician, clearly. 14 points. Was good value. Something I really liked about him here is that Pursuit is banned, so I can't get trapped by that move and just kind of die, because Alakazam is not really eating more than one, although I guess there are a lot of sash sets, so maybe he eats the one, but then, you know, I mean, it was a come in and you lose your sash moment. He brings 120 speed, so he's going to lead my team there. He's crazy, he has a crazy special attack stat. I don't know why that was so hard for me to get through, but I really liked also that he has Magic Guard, so I can bring him in Hail, and if I get Veil up, I'm not taking damage from my Hail, as well as I can maybe get a nasty plot off, and then he's very liable to end a game for me. And then the last reason I took him was obviously he's got 2 spoons, so you can see it's the last point there. That's double the cereal. I don't know, he's smarter than me, so welcome to the team, Houdini, and keep on trucking through this draft. So I had 3 points left going into the last. I had 3 points left going into the last 2 rounds, so I wanted to kind of get value, but also it can be a little hard with those very low point mons. So for 2 points in the second to last round, I took Haunter. He's a value special threat. He's got 95 speed, which isn't bad, and 115 special attack for 2 points. I don't think you can get much else. He's got a good typing in Ghost and Poison. Ghost is a good offensive type. And so if the matchup's really calling for it, he could come in and throw a couple of Shadow Balls, and he may even take a few names. But also, he provides another ground immune with Levitate. And we love ground immunes in this household, so we had to bring him in. I named him Wah because he's a ghost and he'd be out there scaring guys like Luigi. Stay free, Luigi. Alright, last pick. So this is Murkrow. I named him Sasuke because he's just that edgy. He's a 1-pointer, so I got a lot of value there. It's the last pick. I had to take a 1-pointer. He brings another defog. He's got 91 speed, and he has the ability Prankster. And Prankster can be very useful for a lot of reasons. But I just felt like there's not too many matchups that Murkrow's probably going to see. However, you can't count him out because he's not that slow. He's got defog and he has Prankster. Prankster defog's good. You want those webs off? Maybe you go Prankster defog. They can't stop you. Unless they've got... Nope, they can't stop you. I changed my mind. So anyway, last thing I wanted to show, and I stole this from Jode, which he'll probably notice when he watches the video, but I wanted to show my type chart and just talk about some things that I like about my team, some things that I know are definitely weak with my team, but I'm hoping to be able to play around. So I'm going to move to that screen now. So this is the type chart. It may be a little zoomed in or out. This is really my first video, so apologies if it's a little hard to see. Hopefully they're going to improve as we continue on. The main things I wanted to point out that are good for my team are the type chart itself. I don't have too many true weaknesses according to the chart, but you can't read too much into these things. One thing that is weak to is rocks, but I felt like with double ice I wasn't going to be able to really get rid of every single weakness, and so hopefully I'm going to be able to play around that. Another thing that I thought was strong for my team was I have 3 defoggers and a rapid spinner, so I felt like I won't normally have hazards come against me or be that, I'm going to be able to get hazards off, which is good because I feel like I'm not trying to run Boots Arctozolt, so being able to swap in multiple times or set multiple rounds of hail could be really good and keep him chugging as a threat. 2 things that were bad for my team that I'm noticing that I really don't like. I don't have any U-turners outside of Incineroar, who also is my parting shot. Zam technically gets teleport, so I guess in theory I could have 2 real true pivots in a way, but if I get Zam in, I'm trying to plot and hit you. I don't know why I would try to teleport unless I really think I'm in a really bad spot, unless I teleport. So I know that there's a lot of mons that are going to be able to momentum around my team. Personally, I kind of like it, having to make doubles and try to read the plays. It's more exciting for me with that play style, but I can also see how a lot of people are going to look at my team and think I'm just going to U-turn and volt switch and move around this guy until he loses. So it is going to force me to make those plays to not always be on the back foot, but I think it should be interesting either way. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. What can you do? The other thing that I necessarily wasn't sure that it was good or bad for my team was my hazards. I've got Stealth Rocks on Skarm and Garchomp and Spikes on Skarm, and while Skarm is one of the best hazard setters at getting them up, keeping them on, I don't really have a lot of options otherwise. So if you have a really good matchup against Garchomp and Skarm, I might not be running any hazards that game, which could be a little detrimental. I don't care too much about T-Spikes for me as well as against me. I have Mega-Venusaur, who will most likely always be there, so if you do throw 2 T-Spikes, I can just send out Mega-Venu and absorb them up. I'm not crazy worried about it. The only thing that I didn't take that I may regret was Sticky Webs. Mostly because Slush Rush Arctozolt is still slower, like I said, than a base 90 speed Mon with Scarf. So Webs may have been something that really could have opened the game for Arctozolt, like make him go really crazy. Personally, I like using Mons in different ways. We're all here to win, so I understand that you gotta use what you gotta use to win, but I really don't like Webs. So unless I absolutely have to use them, or really feel like I need them, I usually tend to not draft them. And I usually get some pushback in my mind about, well, hey, you should really just take webs if you're really trying to win. But I don't know. I really just don't like them. I think they're kind of cheesy. But if you lose to them, you lose to them. So I'm hoping with my 3 defogs and spin, I can keep webs off, and play around Arctozolt maybe not always being the fastest thing in the game. But I don't know. Other than that, the team looks interesting. I don't know how it's going to perform necessarily. I tried to get enough bulk to where I could, swap things hard in or out and then try and set up Arctozolt or Garchomp or Zam for a win. But the matchups are going to be interesting, and that's all I really got today for the team. I've never made a video, so it might be kind of shitty right now, but I'm trying to improve, and I want to follow them. I want to, start posting weekly my matchups, at least for this season, and I want to get a better layout and record all my games and just kind of grow as a creator in general, I suppose. So that's it. That's the team, and I hope everyone has a good day. This is Kid Kingler, and I'll see you guys next week.